Good, lovely afternoon, folks. We're going to winterize today. Hopefully it's quick and easy, so we'll see how this goes. It's worked well before. There's a picture of the tools and the items we're going to need. And, of course, a 1 16th inch socket set. That is going to be to take out our anode rod and drain the hot water heater. And then I've got a crescent wrench to remove the low point drain right in there, right on the water tank. Easiest way to get rid of the water. And I'm going to use up that about almost 2 gallons of antifreeze. A bucket just to put underneath my water filter right back here. I'll show you that when I open it, to catch any water that may come out of the water filter. Then just have a bottle of water. I'm going to set down inside the water filter casing just to displace some water, so actually antifreeze when we fill it up. And then of course a screwdriver with a Robertson head attachment on the end. And I've got a pipe or a hose here that's cut off, just a garden hose, that I'll attach to the RV inlet, antifreeze inlet valve, and just suck that stuff right out of there. So that's really all the tools you need. A piece of cardboard really helps your back. So let's get this little thing going here, and I'll show you what it's like. Now, just in case there's too much water that drains down underneath here, makes a mess over here, when I open that valve, I'm going to go ahead and take my water filter housing off. You should have a tool like this, and that's going to fit right up in there to take off. Turn it counterclockwise to remove it, clockwise to put it back on. And then here's the bypass valve for the suction to bring in the antifreeze, and we'll turn that on. Then on your hot water heater side, check your particular model, but on mine the bypass valve is right here. We're going to turn that so it's going in line. We're going to turn the cold water valve off, facing this direction, and the same with the hot water valve. Turn it off. So it'll just be the opposite of your summertime use, regular usage. So we're going to go ahead and flip those switches, and we'll take the water out of the water filter. We're going to take the water out of the hot water tank, and then drain the valve underneath there. And then we'll be set for the next stage. And there's my RV inlet to the antifreeze that I was talking about down there. I went inside just to turn on the hot and cold water faucets, and we get a little back drain on that water coming in, so I put it back in, and I went to open those just to make sure if there was any pressure on it that we'd get rid of that. The other thing I wanted to mention is your low point drains. You'll find where those are on your camper. We'll take those off, let any water drain out before we start putting in any antifreeze, and we'll put them back on before we pump in. Okay, I've got the valves all switched to bypass mode right now. You can see I turned this one to block water going in. Same thing on the hot water, and now this is just going to make a loop. And I did want to tell you, be sure you get a little bucket or something that will fit underneath that water thing. The other one I had was just a little too big. So next I'm going to go ahead and open this up and drain the hot water valve to facilitate that water coming out and make it go a little bit faster. You want to pop your pop your lid up here, the pressure vent, and that will let that water come out way quicker. Okay, so I'm going to leave it down for right now until it starts going, and then I can back out of the way because it gushes out pretty good. Okay, you got the water coming out. There is some sediment in the bottom, some buildup, and that's good. I probably will flush that out again sometime. So now, if I open this baby up, we should get, if I don't go too far, and I did, hold on a second. Okay, there you go. I went a little too far up there on the switch. So it will drain out a whole lot faster if you open that up. Just close it back up when you're all drained out. And the anode rod, as you can see right here, this one is fairly new. It's in great shape, really good. That's just doing its job, getting rid of any buildup in there. And I'll put new Teflon tape around this too, by the way, guys. Okay, so that's about right. I'm going to let that just drain a little more. Get under here and drain out the fresh water tank. I did a video on this earlier, but my little spigot, the little turn thing, whatever you want to call it, to drain was not working. So I just put in a plug in it. I'm just going to take that out and let this drain. And I can see I'm facing downhill this way, and most of my water is down on this end, probably an inch taller, but that really doesn't matter if that freezes because it's not going to do any damage, just with a little bit of water in it. There we go. She's draining. So while that's draining, I'm going to go over there and do the low point drains on the other side. I really don't expect much to come out of these. I drained them once. Last few days ago I came out and I forgot to bring my wrenches with me. So I had to go back home and I said, I'll do it today. So we're not getting much out of here at all. Just leave them open for the moment. A quick little trick for you when putting back on your anode rod. It's heavy on that end, so when you try to put it in, it's difficult to thread. And if you have a deep socket wrench like I do here, it doesn't really work. It falls around in there. But if you'll take a nut and just put down in the bottom of your wrench like that on a deep socket, it'll go. Then you can very gently just screw that thing right on in. Sure makes it a lot easier than messing around with it with your hands. All right, after getting the hose stuck in there and the valve set right, I just came on in and turned on the water pump. Then I came in and turned on one valve at a time on the sink, hot and cold waters both, till I saw pink coming out. Same thing right here. I see pink coming out on both valves. And of course, hot and cold water on the shower. I'm just going to leave that down there because I got some cleaning up to do. And lastly, don't forget the good old turlet, because as you may remember, I used an air compression winterization the first time I did this, and that little valve right back there had just enough water, maybe a tablespoon, and that's all it took, and it froze and it cracked. So that's it, guys. Then just go ahead and shut off your water pump, tighten her back up, put things back together, leave them in the position they're in. You can turn the pump antifreeze bypass. You could turn that back on to normal flow. So when you get to where you're going, you don't forget to turn that baby off. So I'll turn that back to normal. And that's normal function. Okay? We can see we got pink in our filter in there. And that's what I'm expecting. Maybe just a couple of days of freeze. So hopefully we're taken care of. And this time, I'm going to remember to turn my house battery off. I left it on last time, but I have solar, so the solar power kept the batteries topped off 100%. So I only used a little over a gallon of antifreeze. That's it, guys. Hope that helps out.